Morning. Happy Sunday, everyone. Oh my goodness. You guys, we have so many fun things to share with you guys today. We are going to talk about hip clicks and single leg stretch. But first, this is Darla. Hello, Darla. Darla is the new OPC mascot, and she cannot jump on this because she does not know how. She's going to try, but she doesn't know how. Why don't you sit here? Why don't you sit down? Nope. Sit. We're working on it. We're working on all the things, but she is adorable and she's so smart. And if you are coming on the OPC summer tour, if you're joining us at one of our 14 stops, she will be with us too. So you'll get to absolutely meet her and to see how amazing she is and experience all the love that she and Bion have for you guys. So opc.me/tour is where you can get your tickets. Look, on Friday, there was a ton of seats in Atlanta and Tucson. And then by Saturday, there's like 2 seats in Atlanta and 3 seats in Tucson. So when I say like check out the route, plan your adventure, ask questions, it's because the spots go really, really fast. So before we get into the hip clicks that you might be experiencing in single leg stretch, I just want to tell you where we're going where it's in August. I forget the start date. I want to say it's the 4th, but we'll be in Denver, Colorado, and then Lawrence, Kansas. Those two stops are fully sold out and have been for quite some time. After that, we are driving to Nashville. The class is sold out, but there is space in the workshop. Then we'll be in Knoxville with a rooftop mat class, which I'm super excited. It's my first time going to be in Knoxville. So Brad and I are going to have a rooftop mat class and a workshop. Then we're going to go Greensboro, North Carolina. It's been a while since we've been back there. It's a beautiful old like studio in an old mill. Really, really lovely. You'll want to come to that. There's a mat class and a workshop. Then we'll be in Augusta, Georgia. We've driven through. We've never stayed. So we're excited to be there. And then Atlanta has 2 spots left in the fast workshop. And that is the workshop you want to come to if you have a hip click in any Pilates exercise, not just a single leg stretch. Then we'll be, and this is where I get confused because I don't know the order of the states, but it's Huntsville, Alabama, and then Birmingham, Alabama. And both of those cities have less than 4 spots left in the workshops. They have then Jackson, Mississippi, that only has like 1 or 2 spots left. Then we'll be in Frisco, Texas, which is north of Dallas. It's in the Dallas area. And that only has space in the workshop as well. That's a Prop It Like It's Hot workshop. I'm really excited about that. Then we're going to be in El Paso, Texas. And that stop has a translator, which I'm super, super excited about. And then we'll be in Tucson, our first time doing a pop-up in Tucson. That has 1 spot left in the class, 3 spots left in the workshop. That's all. And then we'll wrap it up in Las Vegas where we have our fast workshop. Again, the topic that we will want to dive into deeper because I cannot get into everything on a Sunday live. But let's talk about the single leg stretch and why you might have hip click. opc.me/tour for those tickets. So the single leg stretch was also named the single leg pull. And that was its original name. And I wish that in my head it was ingrained single leg pull because it's a much better thought because you do pull on the leg from your upper back and then you send the leg out. Now, when you send the leg out, that's when usually there'll be a hip click or clunk, right? So why is that happening? Well, most people actually take their leg really high. Or as the leg goes out, watch how my foot changes trajectory and it goes up like that. So if you are that person taking it high or as it goes out, lifting it up, unfortunately, what that means is the back of the leg and the inner thigh and outer hips have a little bit harder of a time engaging, right, on the way out. If you look at Return to Life, which the way Joe taught single leg pull and Return to Life changed over time in his studio, but you would actually start lying down. And then the instructions were to, on an inhale, come up, bring a knee into the chest, and then this other leg is only 2 inches off the mat, right? That leg being 2 inches off the mat means the extension muscles, right, your hamstrings and glutes can be on. If you take your leg high, it's really hard for them to be on. You can't even, it's really hard to isometrically contract them. And so what I would challenge you to do if you are someone with a hip click is notice how high you're taking your leg or film yourself as you take your leg out. If you're an OPC member, you can actually send it in to the community because then I can actually tell you. Because if you don't know what I'm saying about the trajectory, that's okay. It took me years as a Pilates instructor to actually notice that, right? So you can send it in as an OPC member into the community. There's a place in the app, and then I will give you feedback on that, right? So if that's you, then you want to be making sure you take that leg low. Now, here's the problem with taking it low. If you have really tight hip flexors or a tight lower back, then the back could arch, right? That's why a lot of people take the leg high, because if they take it low, their pelvis will arch. And so then you might be like, well, I still have the hip click. Well, yeah, because the pelvis is not in its right place. It's sticking out versus being long, right? So we have to then, one, open this up and strengthen this even more, including your stomach. So I do love the single leg springs on the Cadillac for helping you do that, because you can practice sitting the leg out and long. You can practice going from as high as you were to a little bit lower, and then to a little bit lower, and to a little bit lower. You can warm that up. Some people will encourage you to turn the leg out more. That might get rid of the click, but it doesn't actually, it's kind of like a great correction in a large group, but it's not going to over time be something that is going to correct the problem. The problem is that your muscles around your hip are imbalanced. We have to balance those muscles. And that comes from doing other exercises other than the single leg stretch. So it doesn't mean you skip the single leg stretch unless, of course, that click or clunk is painful. It means that you need to go, that click or clunk is telling me I'm not engaging everything I can around my hip. So then what exercises help teach that? For some people, if you are really truly doing the mat work correctly, you'll notice that we have single leg kick and double leg kick and thigh stretch and shoulder bridge. Those are all designed to stretch the front of the hip and strengthen the back of the leg. So you can use the beginning of your mat to let you know what you need to get out of the middle of your mat, so your end of your mat is actually stronger and better. And if you were wondering what I mean by that, we do have a wonderful video about the mat exercises here on this channel and how the order flows and why it flows that way. I told you guys last week that I have a new teacher training program that I'm doing with students here in Las Vegas. And then I will next year have educators around the world, I hope, but at least the US, that you can learn to be a teacher from. And one of the things that we are talking about, one of the things they put in their manual is like, when you look at the order of the mat, you can see how the beginning of the mat is designed to get you into your center. And if that doesn't happen, the middle of the mat is there to kind of strengthen those things you didn't have naturally. And then the end of the mat combines everything and lets you rock and roll, right? Like, it's quite beautiful and quite fun. If you want to be a student of my teacher training program next year, I want you to go to xxll.co/UWS. xxll.co/UWS. It's my name, xxl.co, and it's uplift waitlist student. That's what the UWS stands for. So go to that, tell your friends who maybe are wanting the teacher training program that's holistic and comprehensive and really dives into this, because I do want to help teachers and Pilates lovers understand that why these hip clicks exist is often because of the direction you're going. Most people say in single leg stretch, take your leg to the high diagonal. Why do they say that? It's safe. It's a safe place to put a leg, but it is not an effective place to put a leg if you want to get rid of the hip click. If you want to get rid of the hip click, you have to send the leg out to eye level. Okay. My glutes can be on if it's there. So I can actually push that femur out and get this to turn on, versus taking the leg higher. That's going to be off. Click, click, clunk. Not fun. Not fun. I have a ton of exercises that help strengthen that connection, that help teach that connection, especially if you're someone like me who hangs out in the back of their knees, and like the glutes and hamstrings were just an elusive experience. It's like, what are those? I can't even see them. And here we are years later, and I actually can engage them in all exercise and Pilates. And it's really wonderful because my practice has just gotten stronger. So join us on tour for our fast workshops. I would love to see you. If that's not an option, check us out at onlinepilatesclasses.com, because we talk about the fast all the time. Oh, do we have something, Brad? Okay.
We have two comments.
Hi, comments.
Shields saying,
Hi, Shields.
hip clicks in this exercise. Just ever so often, the single leg circle, and then
Yeah, single leg circle clicks more than single leg stretch. Yes, it happens a lot.
someone else agreed to say.
Yeah, so in single leg circles, if you have a hip click, again, because the exercise is to circle the leg around and up, what most people don't realize is they bring their leg too close to them. My leg is past vertical, right? So this is like the up, right? And so most people come too high. this grips, and then they swing the leg around. So now this is off. This is hanging on. Click, 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 right? So what you actually have to do is one, be more mindful about how high you go, especially if you're a hip clicker. You might actually be better off circling out and around, like making the circle bigger and lower, staying in the muscles here until you have the stamina and strength to get higher without the click. But most people, again, are going too high, or they're even bending the knee and bringing it too much. All this turns on, this is off, and now you're ready to go to your next one, and it's just going to go click, 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 click. Right? So we've got to get this to turn on in your single leg circle. So I would stay lower. If you're someone who cannot straighten their leg up to the ceiling, then lower is always better for you because your leg can be straight and you can live in the fast vortex, if you will, until you have the flexibility and strength to get the leg up. That also means you need to be being very mindful about if you are stretching your actual hip flexors, getting into your psoas, because we can strengthen the hamstrings and glutes all we want, but if this is tight, we have a tug of war that isn't working as a team, right? It needs to be a group of exercise working together, not groups pulling against each other. Yeah. Awesome, guys. Okay, well, like I said,
She'll set intention small circles when it wants to click.
yeah, even small circles won't stop it. That's the problem. Everyone goes, make the circle smaller when you have a hip click, but that's actually not solving the problem. And you could still have a click in a small circle. Make them lower, stay low. And that should get you out of your click. And if it pulls on your back, bend the other knee so that you have more stability, and then stay low, stay low, stay low, right? That will be what you want. Smaller circles up here doesn't mean you get rid of it. In fact, it keeps you in the quad, in the hip flexor. Turning out it can get rid of a little bit, but now we're losing some of the inner thigh. So you definitely, again, when teachers say those things, they're not wrong. It's helpful, especially in a group class if you're not in a private session, to get you out of it, but it doesn't actually keep it at bay. We actually have to strengthen the muscles around it for it to stop. Yeah. I love it. Thanks, Shields. Thanks for being here, everyone. OPC is where you want to be. If you want me to, okay. Well, let me finish my thought because I've been interjecting. OPC.me/YouTube will bring you here. Onlinepilatesclasses.com/YouTube will take you to OPC. That is where I can give you feedback on your exercise that caused the hip clicks. You just have to film yourself, right? So you have to remember to get that. What's the last question?
The last question is it the same with double leg stretch?
If you are having a click and double leg stretch, it's exactly the same. And some people do, even on one thigh. Like my left hip will even click if I don't get out of my backstroke into teaser correctly. So I have to really make sure that I'm actually circling around from the right place. But yes, eventually you want your double leg stretch to be here, 2 inches off the mat. You want your 100. This is where your 100 is supposed to be, right? If you're here, this turns on. It's just that most people don't have the opposition to hold on to these legs when they're that low. So of course, when you're a beginner, people give you the cue to take your legs higher. Personally, I prefer your legs, if you cannot have them 2 inches off of the mat in the 100, I prefer them to be down where you can be pushing into the floor, turning this on and working on the curl here, and then someday floating them up to here, right? That's what I'd rather you do. If you can't have your legs straight out because of something going on with your back, then you would actually take your legs out in a bent knee formation and push down into the mat so your seat turns on, and work your 100 here so that you're always turning this on. Taking your legs into a tabletop or up to the ceiling is actually just going to encourage the muscles to overwork that are causing the hip click. I know. Love you all so much. See you later.